We just getting started, baby. Did anybody see what Mr. Wardell Steph Curry did to the Portland Trailblazers? They were nobodies. They beat the Giants. Trash. They beat the Broncos. Trash. If you ever watched Dragon Ball Z, my man's was Super Saiyan. I couldn't read this until he actually caught a dub. And he did all of this damage in 36 minutes. Let that sink in. They beat the Eagles, trash. The Cowboys, trash. The Bengals, trash. The Jaguars, trash. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here on Robs2Cents. My good people, my good people. Hello, world. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the show that's hot with your boy, Rob Scott. This is Robs2Cents, baby. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's good. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Hope you've had a great, productive week so far. We're almost there, baby. We almost at Friday. I know this show has came out a little bit later than usual, but wanted to spend some time with this episode. And not to mention, let me tell y'all, remember I told you guys, your boy, he got arthritis, man. Found out I got the gout, so it's been kind of flaring up. I've been in a lot of pain, man. Let me tell you, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, but enough about my personal business, man. I am so excited about this episode. Today literally marks the day that I did my first episode of Robs2Cents, man. Celebrating my 1 year anniversary, man. It feels good. I feel accomplished. Let me tell you guys, it's not easy. It's not easy to just get in front of a microphone and in front of a camera with a microphone and start talking about things and hoping that somebody somewhere would, maybe not so much agree with what you're talking about, but find you interesting enough to listen to. And it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Again, it hasn't been easy. It's days you look on YouTube, you see so little views, and you're like, why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? But let me tell you guys something, you got to keep pushing, man. Even if it's only one person watching your product, watching your creative work, you got to keep going. You can't not let things deteriorate you, especially when you got to celebrate your little victories. And I'm not going to say my victories have been little. Just making it to YouTube and Spotify and iTunes has been a blessing. But not to mention, meeting brother Jerry Rouse, meeting brother Dan Marvelous, getting my show on the Rewind Sports 60 Roku channel, making appearances on the Rewind Sports 60 when that radio show was out. Brother Jerry Rouse on the Big and Better Things, and just being the NBA analyst on that show, it kind of almost made you feel like you were living a dream. I can't wait to do this full time, as you guys know. But again, man, celebrating a year of accomplishment, celebrating the ups, celebrating the downs, celebrating the hard work. That's what it's all about. And I can't wait to see you guys for year two, because I'm going to keep this thing going again. Shout out to all the people who has had anything to do with the making of my podcast, as far as my boy Calvin, giving me the intro, the outro, my boy Kateris, kind of seeing my vision and getting himself and my family together, putting on for my logo. Shout out to Cam, over at Power PWR Design for designing my logo, I'm so grateful, of course, shout out to my wife, who's my biggest supporter, who pushes me on days I don't feel like getting up. I'm leaving work and I'm like, ain't nobody listening to my podcast. I don't need to record. She's, no, you're going to get up and record. So, definitely shout out to her. She know I love her. Our 3rd year anniversary is going to be coming up as well. So shout out to you, babe. And family, friends, loved ones, any critics, anybody that said anything good or negative about the podcast, Thank you. That means you put your eyes on it. And I appreciate all you guys, man, all my loyal listeners. I am nothing without you guys. So, I appreciate that. I'm over 1,300 downloads on my RSS feed as far as iTunes and Spotify go. So I'm just trying to keep this thing going, man. This is what I love to do. I love to talk sports. No, do I watch every game? No. Do I try to watch every game? Yes. Do I'm up to date with highlights, try to stay up to date with news that's coming out. And I do this for you guys, to keep you guys informed, for people that's interested in sports and, to live out my dream. I would love to be up there talking mess with, the great Skip Bayless, the great Shannon Sharp, or be on ESPN with the great Stephen A. Smith, just talking shop, the great Max Kellerman, who's doing his own thing now after leaving First Take. So, I would love to be up there. Do I agree with these guys all the time? No. Do I agree with their views all the time? No. Do I feel like they present valid arguments for their opinions? Yes, they do. And I would love to be up there to do the same. So that's enough for me and about the year conversation. I know what you guys are here for, man. Again, thank you guys for celebrating the year with me. I want you to kick your feet up. If you're going on your morning commute, keep both eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel. Get your cup of coffee. Get your drink if you want to drink a little bit early. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. And sit down and tune in to the hottest sports conversation in the nation. This is Robs2Cents, baby. And we got to start out talking about my Bulls. You see the hat. If you're watching, you see the hat. And if you're listening, I have on a Chicago Bulls hat because my Chicago Bulls have been doing that thing. Let me tell you guys, the Bulls right now have a record of 7-3. Doing that thing, I know it's very early in the season, but just so far from what I've seen from the Chicago team, they're winning the games that they're supposed to win. Now, a lot of people, the Bulls haven't really played anybody. Yes, I know they've beaten the Pistons. They've beaten the Pelicans. They've beaten, the Celtics, who are not having a very great year this year so far. Still very early in the season. Only time will tell, especially if a Damian Lillard trade goes through. You're able to send Jaylen Brown to Portland, get Damian Lillard, pair him with a Jason Tatum. I like that tandem because I really feel like Jaylen and Jason are the same player. No offense to them. They both have great games, but I just think you already have one. You don't need two of them. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, just the Chicago Bulls, they do have significant wins as well, beating the Utah Jazz, who once again right now is the number one team in the league, probably the most complete team in the league, and should make a lot of noise in the playoffs if all healthy, but they have yet to get over that hump of getting into the finals, after being the number one team last year. Now the stadiums are back, the stadiums are packed. You have the fans back for a full year. You have a regular full year with games are a little bit more spaced out. So let's see what they can do. But the Bulls were able to defeat them. The Bulls got down on the Jazz, making a great fourth quarter comeback. Lost back-to-back games against Philly. Joel Embiid can be a handful, was a MVP candidate not so long ago, a defensive player of the year candidate not so long ago. So, he's still considered, it'll be between him and the Joker as the best big man in today's NBA. But then the Bulls were able to bounce back and get a 118-95 victory versus the Brooklyn Nets. It was a great game led by DeMar DeRozan. And this guy has just been getting buckets, man. Let me tell you guys, man, DeRozan come in 28 points, 10 of 20 shooting, 1 of 4 from the three-point line, 7 of 9 from the free throw line. I mean, the guy gives you 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, only 3 turnovers, plus 13 on the court with his running mate, my boy Zach LaVine, who I've told people we're looking at a star right before our very eyes, man. Zach LaVine pitching in with 24 points on 10 of 17 shooting. Even though he didn't hit anything from the three-point line, he was perfect from the free throw line. Also gives you 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, only 1 turnover. I mean, the Bulls right now are playing. And I'm glad to see that they're following the status quo. I believe that, even though this team has been Zach LaVine's for the past couple of years, DeMar DeRozan has come in. He's been a breath of fresh air. He's given the Bulls productive minutes. I mean, you look at DeMar DeRozan's production this year. 26.9 points on the year, 5.7 rebounds on the year, almost 4 assists on the year, PER averaging about a 17.1. I mean, the guy is just being a complete stat stuffer. Even better this year from the three-point line. Granted, I know I said it's still early, but shooting at 39% from the three-point line. And when he's been a career 25% three-point shooter. So he's getting better quality shots. You can tell he's worked on that jumper. He's always been deadly from the mid-range, able to hit the fadeaway, able to hit the step back, able to get his way to the rim, able to close at the rim, to finish at the rim because of his athleticism. And even though he's not quite the DeMar he used to be, he still has enough yoinks to get up there and put it on top of your head. DeMar DeRozan has been playing absolutely out of his mind, and I believe the Bulls are doing great by letting Zach know, hey, you're still going to get your same number of shots. You're still going to have a chance to lead this team, but, in clutch situations, let's go through DeMar. And he's bounced back since he's missed that jumper. I can't remember who they were playing. I want to say they were playing the Bucks, but he missed that jumper at the end of the at regulation. I'm sorry, against the Knicks. Well, what am I doing? It was such a great game against the New York Knicks. Apologize, we haven't played the Bucks yet, but against the New York Knicks, when DeMar DeRozan had a chance to end the game on the jumper after they made that great fourth quarter comeback. Since then, he's bounced back, even going toe-to-toe with KD last night. As I mentioned, he gave you 28 points. KD, on the other hand, though, gives you 38 out 13 of 24 shooting. He was 3-8 from the three-point line, gives you 11 rebounds, doing this thing in the paint because, obviously, he's the biggest person on Brooklyn right now. Claxton hasn't been there. DeAndre Jordan now with the Los Angeles Lakers. Paul Millsap, a little old. LaMarcus Aldridge coming back after, making a miraculous comeback after we thought it was all over with for him, dealing with that heart disease. So, good to see him back in the league, but he's not the same LA from before. This is not the LA we saw at the early stages of San Antonio. This is not the LA way back when we saw in Portland when he was just dominating from that mid-range. I mean, LA can still hit the mid-range, but defense, he's always been a slower person, can't really move his feet. And the Bulls have been rebounding by committee. This was a great game. The Bulls now get to finish, testing their new prowess, testing their new teammates, their new abilities as they're going to be playing the Dallas Mavericks tonight, which I think should be a great game. As we know, the Luka magic still continues. Dallas, however, even with Jason Kidd there as coach, have still been predominantly running the ball through Luka, and I don't think that's a recipe for success. However, Dallas still remains a top regular season team. And then you have the Warriors, who right now I'm going to be talking about them a little later, 9-1, playing great games, winning the games they're supposed to win. Steph Curry not having to overexert himself every night to get the W, and then they're going to have the Clippers and the Lakers in back-to-back games on the 14th and the 15th being my little sister's birthday. Shout out, baby girl. I love you. And we're going to get to really see how good the Bulls have become. We look on the flip side on the coin. The Nets, I won't say they've been struggling. They were on a 5-game winning streak before they went against the Chicago Bulls. It's just that, James Harden hasn't been the same. James Harden has not been the same. With these new NBA rules in place where they're not giving players these little gimme fouls, these little soft fouls, with James Harden, who's so good at what he does, able to drive and hook your arm and take 15 to 20 free throws a night. He's not getting that anymore. And because of that, his scoring has significantly went down. We're talking about a guy who for a few seasons was averaging in the 30s. Even as he started to decline, that decline was because he went to Brooklyn. He didn't have to do what he had to do in Houston and Brooklyn. Averaging gave you 24.6 points last year. Now we're looking, he's at 18.3 points a game, 39% from the field. He's still 40% from the 3-point line, but he's only averaging 4.6 free throw attempts. If we look back in 2019, he was averaging a late 11.8 free throw attempts. Even as far as 2015, he was averaging 10.2 free throw attempts. So he's definitely not getting those free throws attempts, and you can see it in his scoring, not being as aggressive as he needs to be, considering the fact that Kyrie Irving is not there to help you guys and probably won't be there to help you guys unless he takes the vaccine, because he was banking on the fact that New York just elected a new mayor, and he was hoping that the mayor was going to turn over or at least go back on the mandate, which he decided not to. Most places are not. If you really understand the damage that COVID-19 did to some of these cities, did to some of these states, you can understand why New York was hit very hard. Even when I was out there working, they wanted to see negative COVID tests within the last 72 hours or proof of vaccination. It's just how this the world we live in today. And I understand what Kyrie is standing at, and I don't have a problem with it. He didn't lie about it like a certain person. He stood up and he's accepting the consequences of his actions, and more power to Kyrie. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's made enough money to survive without having to go against his beliefs. So, he's not coming to save the day for Brooklyn. And Kevin Durant is definitely going to need a partner in crime if he plans to make a deep run in the playoffs. We saw what happened. Even though James Harden was injured, he played. And they got eliminated by Milwaukee. Milwaukee goes on to win the championship. Philly is looking a lot better, even without Ben Simmons. So, players like Maxey and other people are starting to step up. Philly even gave a great game the other night to the Milwaukee Bucks, even though Embiid didn't play due to COVID. Tobias Harris didn't play due to COVID. Steph Curry didn't play due to injury. I mean, we're talking about 3 of your big stars on this team that didn't play and still was able to give the defending champions a run for their money. Now, granted, the Milwaukee Bucks was without Chris Middleton, but still, we're talking about an Eastern Conference now that's getting tougher. Again, I mentioned the Chicago Bulls. You mentioned the New York Knicks. If Boston makes certain moves, you get Boston right back in the thick of things. You got Washington, who's playing a lot better since bringing Kuzma and Mark and Harrell over there. Tez. It is getting real in the Eastern Conference. It's no longer the pushover conference. So James Harden is really gonna have to step up his game. You're gonna have to match KD's energy. KD right on schedule, averaging 30 points in their first few games, 8.8 rebounds, 5.3 assists per game. KD's trying to do it all, and it's good that he's in good spirits. He just had a great interview with Charles Barkley. Good to see, those legends being able to get along. KD just seems like he's in a happier place in his life. And, hopefully James Harden can come along for the ride, because other than that, the Nets won't be making it past the second round in the postseason, or at least past the conference, or the most past the conference, I should say. But only time will tell. As I said, right now the Brooklyn Nets are 7-4. They're still right there in the thick of things. The best team in the East right now is the Heat, tied with the Bulls and the Wizards for the best record in the league at 7-3. Philly's 8-4. So they're right now they're in 7th place technically in the Eastern Conference. If the playoffs started today, they would be in the play-in tournament trying to determine who's going to get to the playoffs, which I can see them beating Charlotte or Toronto, even though Milwaukee is in 9th place right now. I see Milwaukee or Brooklyn making it to that to the dance in the playoffs. So luckily for them, the playoffs don't start today. There's still a lot of time. In Brooklyn's case, 69 games left to be played. So I believe they can get it together, but it's all going to be stemming on if James Harden is able to adapt to the new rules of the NBA. Jumping to the NFL for a moment, the Chicago Bears win against the Pittsburgh Steelers in a Monday Night Football game. Let me tell you guys something. That was a hell of a game, man. The Bears trying to make a miraculous comeback in the fourth quarter, outscoring the Pittsburgh Steelers 21-9 in the fourth quarter, but they fell up short. Pittsburgh able to get a last-second field goal after a great drive. I believe they only had a minute and some change left on the clock after a miraculous drive by Justin Fields after a costly turnover by Pittsburgh. Final score being 29-27. We know the Bears have not been great this season. Losing Andy Dalton, what was that, in week 2, week 3 to an injury. Justin Fields getting the start, being really put to the fire because the Bears' offensive line is trash. I mean, they can't protect anything. I mean, the Bears couldn't protect you. If they were the police, they would just serve. Protect would be out of that protect and serve montage. I mean, the Bears' offensive line, and they've been abysmal for years, as I mentioned. Jay Cutler, to me, still has nightmares about how bad the Bears' offensive line is. I mean, as soon as you hike the ball, it's like a defender is in your face already. But what I have loved about Justin Fields is his development week by week. Justin Fields is getting better at reading the defenses, knowing when to run out of the pocket, trying to extend the play. He still throws a high number of interceptions. He's throwing about 1 interception a game. He's thrown interceptions in like his last 6 games. So in 6 out of the last 7 games played, he's thrown interceptions. Actually 3 against the Buccaneers on October 24th when they lost to Tom and those boys. He just hasn't been the same, since college. Justin Fields was the man in college, and we understand making that leap to the pros it can be difficult for some, but the Bears offensive line hasn't given them any help. The Bears coaching staff hasn't given them any help, and we saw against Pittsburgh him starting to develop into a franchise quarterback, making a great fourth quarter go at it, trying to lead his team to victory. As I mentioned, the Bears outscoring the Pittsburgh Steelers 21-9 in the fourth quarter. Defense, of course, they're going to get you scores. They're going to keep you in the game. Is this defense as good as other defenses has been in the past with the Chicago Bears? Absolutely not. But will I say that this defense is horrible? No. The Bears defense has made these games close. I mean, think about it. We were holding teams like the Buccaneers. When you look up and it's the third quarter, fourth quarter, and the team only has 14 or 21 points after you couldn't score in 3 quarters, and your defense is able to still keep you in the game, it's not the defense's fault. So we're not going to blame it. We know where the blame lies. It's with the offensive line and with the coaching staff. And we were able to see against Pittsburgh, Justin Fields able to start to get a little rhythm going, able to extend the plays a little bit better. He finally got a little bit of protection, and the Bears saw with a little bit of protection, Justin Fields is actually pretty accurate as a quarterback, hitting Moody for some big-time plays, hitting Allen Robinson for some big-time plays, going deep with it, and then also being elusive in the pocket. We even saw last week against the 49ers how, it was a fourth quarter play. They had Justin Fields pinned. And for him to be able to scramble to the right and then make his way to the left and score the touchdown with about 15 yards out, I mean, it was a miraculous play. Justin Fields looks good. He has a great motor. Hopefully the coaching staff will begin to call plays that's better suited for his athletic prowess. I mean, Justin Fields can run the ball. Maybe we need to have plays where he's running outside of the pocket. Maybe we need to run a little bit more wildcat. Maybe we need to let him freestyle a little bit more. I'm not saying he's Lamar Jackson, but he definitely is not Tom Brady standing back there. The guy has legs. You have to let him use it. I really feel like the Bears have found their franchise quarterback. Now their priority should be getting some better coaching, drafting some of these big guys or picking up some great vets and getting them on that offensive line, getting him a top receiver, somebody that's going to go out and be reliable, be your go-to. We need that. You know, right now I think the Bears are in prime condition to be a top-ranked team in the future as long as they can make the right moves to go along with Justin Fields, because I feel like Justin Fields was a successful draft pick for the Chicago Bears. But I got to talk about somebody who has not flawlessly fit into their system. We got to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. If we look in the Western Conference right now, the Lakers have a record of 6-5, barely over 500. Their best player has been Carmelo Anthony. When have we said that Carmelo Anthony was the best player on the team since the New York Knicks, since Denver? As I mentioned before in previous podcasts, just a few years ago, Carmelo Anthony was at home wondering if he was gonna play basketball again. What team will pick him up? Does he really have to come off the bench? Melo gave some great years in Portland, but he was not the main attraction. It was Dame. Now, granted, LeBron has been hurt. AD, you know, he's been beastie, but he's been scoring quiet points. But Melo has been making, we talking about a guy right now that's shooting, 60-something percent, 61% from the three-point line for the Los Angeles Lakers? Melo. Now, we know Melo, hey, top 9 all time. The man is a professional bucket getter. But he's been the reason that the Lakers have been in the game, because Russell Westbrook, y'all. Russell Westbrook, what can you say about Russell Westbrook? And I love this dude. Russell Westbrook, as I've always said in the past, he's going to play 120. He's going to give you 120% on the court. He's never going to cheat you. If you're purchasing a ticket to see Russell Westbrook play, you're going to see Russell Westbrook play. He's going to be up and down on that court. One of the hardest workers in the league besides, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, the guy has a high motor, and he doesn't know the word stop. He doesn't know the word no. He doesn't know the phrase, that's a bad shot. In Russell's eyes, every shot is a bad shot. But it has not been good for the Los Angeles Lakers. Wasn't good for Washington. Wasn't good for Houston. Wasn't good in the latter years for OKC. Russell Westbrook right now granted, he has scored triple doubles in 4 out of the last 5 years. Granted, he has won an MVP. Granted, he has won a scoring title. But Russell Westbrook has also done something else in this league that he's led in. And that's turnovers, ladies and gentlemen. Russell Westbrook has led the league in turnovers for the past few years. And he's already on pace to do that again. We look at last year, he averaged 4.8 turnovers. We look right now through these very first 11 games, he's averaged 5.1 turnovers. 5.1 turnovers. Russell Westbrook, as great as he is, I mean, we look at him, he's almost averaging a triple-double again. He's at 8.8 rebounds, 8.5 assists, at 18.8 points per game. I read that stat line to anybody else, and they're going to say, oh, he's on pace to average another triple-double. Oh, man, the Lakers, they have to be in great shape right now. And that's not the case. The Los Angeles Lakers right now need some help. They're not going to get it from LeBron. LeBron James right now is hurt. He's down with an abdominal strain. We thought he was going to be out for a couple of games. He might be out for the next month or so. We might not see LeBron until Christmas time, which means that now the Lakers are in Russell Westbrook's hand, and I don't think that's a place where they want to be. Now, granted, last game they won in spite of Russell when they played against the Charlotte Hornets because they didn't want to do what they just did to OKC in back-to-back games, which was give up big leads. They gave up a 26-point lead, then they gave up a 19-point lead, and almost gave up a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter that they had on Charlotte until Melo again start raining threes. And even then, it's getting to the last play. Charlotte's made a little bit of a run. And Russell Westbrook, what does he do as the point guard on this team, as the main decision maker on this team, as the facilitator for this team? He decides, I'm not going to pass it to Carmelo Anthony, who has gotten us here, who has brought it home and hopefully is going to take us to the W. He decides he wants to shoot a three. Mind you, he was 0-1 already. Westbrook in his last 3 games has been 4 of 11 from the three-point line. He's not a great three-point shooter, and that's being nice. We don't know what is going on through Russell Westbrook's head. He gave you 7 turnovers against Charlotte. Costly turnovers in the fourth quarter. I mean, Russell Westbrook has to get his head in the game. If doing too much was a person, Russell Westbrook's picture would be right there. And I love Russell Westbrook. As I mentioned before, the hardest worker in the league. He's the ultimate underdog. That's what I call Russell. He's the guy you want to see win. I was actually hoping the Lakers might be able to get a championship just to see Westbrook get one. Just to say, hey, you know what? I got one too. He's going to be in the NBA Hall of Fame. I said he averaged a triple-double in the last 4 out of 5 seasons. Almost averaging a triple-double this year. But that's all he is. He's statistically good. But does those stats lead to victories for your team? We have yet to see that. Remember, Washington almost missed out on the playoffs. Bradley Beal was going back and forth with Steph Curry. She was going to be the lead NBA scorer. And they almost missed out because of things that Russell Westbrook's like to do on the court that are not very smart at times. So the Los Angeles Lakers, they're going to be praying for a miracle. They're going to be praying to get LeBron back. I still feel that Buddy Hield was a better move for them. I was very excited when I heard they were going to get Buddy Hield because I knew that was the shooting that LeBron needed. I understand that LeBron figured we'll get Westbrook, but not only because of his star power, but because I know I'm not playing every game this year. LeBron's been hurt for the past 3 seasons. He understands he's going to miss game. He understands he's in year 19. He understands that even though he's still at top-notch athletic, at his athletic prowess, at his athletic conditioning, he understands that the body begins to break down. And no matter how much money you spend on your body, no matter how good you eat, Father Time is undefeated, and he catches up with everybody. Trust me, I know. But I still feel Buddy Hield would have been a better fit for this team. The Lakers are better when Rondo is there, when Rondo's on the court and being the main facilitator. The Lakers are better. But then again, you don't want to tell Russ, don't be Russ. Because if Russ is not Russ, then you really have no chance of winning the game. So you caught him between a rock and a hard place. It's a catch-22. If Russ doesn't beat Russ, we definitely lost this game. If Russ does decide to beat Russ, then we have a very strong probability of losing this game. I mean, it's a horrible decision to make, ladies and gentlemen. I understand. But Russell Westbrook, unfortunately, it ain't it. He's not the answer to your prayers, Los Angeles. And I doubt as long as Russell is there, we're going to see LeBron get his 5th ring. If LeBron wins in spite of Russell Westbrook, I'm not going to go as far as to say he's now deemed the GOAT. But I can safely say he's in that realm of conversation. He's in the realm. If you decide that you want to say LeBron is the GOAT, I won't argue against that. I will finally overlook that blunder that he had in Dallas back in 2011. Because Russell Westbrook, for as great as he is as a player, that ain't it. But I'm going to tell you who got it. I'm going to tell you who the man. I'm talking about a person whose team lost to the Los Angeles Lakers in the play-in tournament last year. And then lost to the Memphis Grizzlies in the play-in tournament last year. Didn't even make the playoffs last year. To now coming out at the beginning of the season, even though he was the NBA leading scorer last year, coming out making a statement saying that his team is going to play better. They're going to be better, and he's going to lead by example. My boy, Steph Curry, been on the tear this year, averaging 27.6 points per game, 6.6 rebounds and assists per game. Has his team at 9-1. Right now, best team in the league. We look at the Golden State Warriors, who are right now on a 5-game winning streak because of Steph Curry. Now, granted, I mentioned that his team has made significant strides. We look at Jordan Poole, we look at Damian Lee, we look at JTA, Toscano Anderson. We look at Gary Payton III. We look at Draymond back in shape. We look at them bringing back Andre Iguodala, them getting Bielitsa. We understand that this team is significantly better than what they were last year. Getting production from Andrew Wiggins, bringing in an Otto Porter who's a very hard worker. We understand that this team is not the same from last year. We understand that Steph doesn't have to score 40 points every game for his team to have a chance to win. But Steph wanted to remind everybody against the Atlanta Hawks, especially against his young protege in Trae Young, a guy who wants to be like Steph, who's trying to make a name for himself as one of the top shooters in the league. A guy who just led his team to the Eastern Conference Championship last year. Oh no. Steph said, let me remind y'all who I am. Because Steph will once again, for the first time this season, catch the Holy Ghost. Can I get an amen? Because that man was so nifty. Steph Curry went for 50 points off 14 of 28 shooting from the field, 9 of 19 from the three-point line, 13 of 13 from the free throw line. Give you 10 dimes, give you 7 rebounds, give you 4 steals, give you 1 block, only 2 turnovers. Steph Curry had to remind everybody just exactly who the hell he was. We're talking about a 2-time MVP, 1-time unanimous MVP. Unanimous mean everybody voted for him, ladies and gentlemen. That means that without a shot of a doubt, he was the MVP of the league. Steph Curry. That boy cold. And right now, the Golden State Warriors are doing their thing in the NBA. I am just so happy to see this team get back to taking care of business. You don't have KD. That's fine. He's over there doing this thing in Brooklyn. You haven't had Clay. That's fine, but guess what? Clay's going to be coming back. It might be coming back sooner than later. Just watching NBA Countdown. Clay might be back before Christmas. Won't that be a great Christmas gift? To get the second best shooter in the league back on a team with the best shooter in the league. And your team has already established themselves as winners. Oh, what a time to be a Warrior fan. Gonna get the big guy back, James Wiseman. Right now, the Warriors are primed and ready to make an NBA championship run. And now, who looks like the fool? Because Draymond said, who said this was over? Who said the dynasty was over? Y'all just stay tuned. And now we got to jump back to the NFL because I want to talk about who do you think are my top teams in the league? I'm going to give you Rob's top 5 teams in the NFL right now. We're going to get into Rob's 2 cents. And I had to come in at number 5. I'm going to give you my honorable mentions. That would be the Green Bay Packers. And that would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Packers right now, they didn't look too good with Jordan Love there. Definitely was missing Aaron Rodgers, and then that's the reason they didn't make it to the top 5. We don't know the situation with Aaron Rodgers when he'll be back. As we know, he caught COVID. He got caught lying about being vaccinated, saying he was immunized. However, we'll talk about that later in the segment. But the Packers didn't look good with Jordan Love there, taking the helm as the quarterback, taking the reins, I should say. And that's why the Packers didn't make it to my top 5. Even though the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Chicago Bears, Ben Roethlisberger still not looking like old Big Ben, who was a dominant quarterback in this league. And I just don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to make any noise in the playoffs. However, they're going to get there. But they didn't make it. I'm going to tell you who my top 5 are. We got to start off at number 5. We're going to start off with the Baltimore Ravens. The reason I picked the Ravens and then not the Steelers, because right now the Steelers and the Ravens are in the same division in the AFC North. And right now, guess who runs that division? The Baltimore Ravens with a record of 6-2. And guess who's on the Baltimore Ravens? Oh, that bad man named Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has been by far one of the best players in the NFL this season. As we know, that team has been riddled with injury. We're talking about losing both of your running backs. We're talking about losing countless people on the defensive side of the ball. And yet the Baltimore Ravens still are the kings of the AFC North. And that's because of Lamar Jackson. We're talking about a guy right now who just had a hell of a game, who not only threw for 266 yards, even though he threw for 2 interceptions, he also threw for 3 touchdowns. But we're talking about a guy who ran for 120 yards as a quarterback, who outplayed the running back on the Minnesota Vikings. And the running back on the Vikings is a great running back. Dalvin Cook is a beast. But if we look at them on paper, as a running back, Lamar Jackson was far better. And he's been looking this way all season. We're talking about a guy just even through the air. He's thrown 13 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, so he's over that 50% threshold, or under the 50% threshold. But we're also talking about a guy that's thrown for 2,200 yards so far in the air. And also one of the top rushers in the league as a quarterback. Lamar Jackson definitely in that MVP conversation just for the miraculous things he's been able to do with this Baltimore Ravens team. And that's why I have them at number 5. Number 4. My number 4 team in the NFL, we have to turn to the Tennessee Titans. Now, if we look at the Tennessee Titans, right now the Titans are the top dogs in the AFC South with a record of 7-2. Why did I put them at 4 and not any higher? Because they've lost their main superstar, which is Derrick Henry. We know he's out with that Jones fracture, just had surgery on it. He's going to be rehabbing for the next 6 to 10 weeks. We're talking about he's going to miss the regular season. And I almost don't know, even if they make it to the postseason, is it really wise to bring him back after not having in-game reps and you throw him into a playoff situation? I might just keep him set down for the year. I know a lot of Tennessee fans are not going to like that, but you have to think bigger picture. He's already worn down for carrying that team on his back, literally being the running back that has the most carries in the league. We know Tennessee is run first, and I can't blame them because when you have a monster like Derrick Henry, you feed him more. But now you have to rely on Ryan Tannehill in that passing game. You have to rely on A.J. Brown. Can Tennessee sustain their success in the regular season, and can that translate to a postseason victory? I don't know, but right now, with them still being the top of their division and them still able to get a great win against the Los Angeles Rams without Derrick Henry, it was something beautiful to see, and I have to give credit where credit is due. Tennessee is my team at number 4. Who's my team at number 3? That'll be the Los Angeles Rams. And the reason they're not any higher, as I just mentioned, they lost to the Tennessee Titans without Derrick Henry. Even though they're getting stronger, they bring in somebody like Von Miller, a monster. We know what he did with the Denver Nuggets. I'm saying the Denver Nuggets, with the Denver Broncos when they were able to win that championship in 2016. Von Miller is a stud. And when he does get to this team, it's going to be nasty for a lot of opposing offenses because, as I mentioned, you got Aaron Donald. So you're going to add a Von Miller with an Aaron Donald and a Leonard Floyd, and you still have my boy Jalen Ramsey out there controlling the secondary. This team is going to be very formidable. The question around the Los Angeles Rams is, how great can Matthew Stafford be? We got to stop giving him the excuse that he didn't have anybody. You have to remember, Matthew Stafford played with Megatron, a Hall of Famer, Calvin Johnson. So he's had top receivers, and he wasn't able to lead Detroit anywhere but past the first round in the playoffs. I mean, if they even made it to the playoffs. Matthew Stafford has a lot he has to prove. Now, he has some weapons around him now. Let's not get that confused. He has Robert Woods. He has Cooper Kupp. He has some weapons over there. Now the question is going to be, what can you do with those weapons? And that's what we have to see. Can the Los Angeles Rams make it back to the Super Bowl? And can they capitalize on this new souped-up team? Because the Los Angeles Rams have gone for broke. They're not going to have any great draft picks for the next few years. So they have to win. It's win or bust for the Los Angeles Rams. Number 2, I got to go with the GOAT. Old Tom Brady, man. Let me just tell you what Tom Brady, who's my MVP pick so far, by the way, what he's done so far in the regular season. He's already thrown for 2,650 yards in the air, 25 touchdowns with only 5 interceptions, averaging about a 67.3% completion rate. Tom Brady has the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now playing some excellent football. We look at their standings in the NFC conference. Right now, the Buccaneers are leading their division, 6-2 in the NFC South. Going to be coming off a bye week now, and they're going to be looking to play some ball. We knew that they were going to destroy the Chicago Bears, and then they had a bad loss against the Saints, who had lost Jameis Winston in the first or second quarter and got beat by the backup. So now the Buccaneers are going to be coming back off their bye week, looking to extract a little bit of revenge. And I feel sorry that team is the Washington football team, whose defense has not looked the same. And I believe right now the Buccaneers, just based off their schedule, they only have 2 games in which I feel can give them some trouble. And that would be against the Saints again. And it'll also be against the Buffalo Bills. Other than that, their next game after Washington is the Giants, and then they go see the Colts. Those are winnable games. I'd see the Buccaneers right now being able to finish at a 15-2 record. Buccaneers right now are primed and ready to make a repeat for a Super Bowl championship. And number 1, I have to go with the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona right now 8-1 on the year, led by Kyler Murray, who's having a hell of a year. He's at 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. This guy is playing absolutely crazy. Already thrown for 2,276 yards with a completion rate of 72.7%. As I mentioned, Arizona right now playing above their element right now, playing above what they probably projected them to play. I mean, just playing at a high rate. Arizona right now winning the games they're supposed to win, and even winning games they're not supposed to win. After seeing the 49ers, you don't have Kyler Murray due to injury. You don't have your top receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, due to injury, yet you're able to go in there without DeAndre Hopkins, without Kyler Murray, and still able to beat the San Francisco 49ers. You have Colt McCoy go in there and outplay Jimmy Garoppolo from the 49ers. I mean, just went in there and put on a absolute clinic and beat this team very handily, 31-17. Right now, the Arizona Cardinals are playing the best in the NFL right now, given with what they've had. Only had that bad loss against the Green Bay Packers, which it really wasn't a bad loss, just was unexpected. But Aaron Rodgers, able to go in there and do spectacular things. You don't have your best receiver, don't have your second best receiver, yet you're able to pull that out of your hat. And that was a bad loss for Arizona, but they were able to bounce back without their quarterback, without their best receiver, and say, we'll match you guys and we'll do a number on the San Francisco 49ers, and we're going to beat them handily. We're going to show you how to get the job done. So Arizona right now playing some great football. Those are my top 5 teams in the NFL right now. Number 1, Arizona. Number 2, Tampa Bay. Number 3, the Los Angeles Rams. Number 4, the Tennessee Titans. And number 5, the Baltimore Ravens. And we're getting ready to wind down on the show. Have to talk about boxing a little bit. I want to give a shout out to my boy Canelo Alvarez, who has become the first Mexican-born athlete to be undisputed champion in the world of boxing, has also become the 6th undisputed champion since the 4-title era, and also has become the first fighter to be the undisputed champion in the super middleweight division, which is the 168-pound title. Canelo Alvarez doing work. And let me tell you how he did this work. He has won all 4 titles, in a span of a year. We first saw him beat Callum Smith when he won the WBA super title, the ring, and the vacant WBC super middleweight title. This was back in December 19th of 2020. Mind you, last year, previous to that, he had already won the WBO light heavyweight championship from Sergey Kovalev. So now he's already holding on to these titles. He fights Avni Yildirim when he just destroyed him in 3 rounds. And that was just because he had to do that by obligation. and then comes right back. He beats on Billy Joe Saunders. He retains his titles and wins the WBO super middleweight championship. And then this past Saturday on November the 6th, fighting Caleb Plant, winner takes all. He beats up Caleb Plant, knockout in the 11th, wins the IBF super middleweight title, and becomes the first undisputed super middleweight champion. Canelo Alvarez, we already know, is a monster. Out of 60 fights, he has 57 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws. As we know, that loss only coming from Floyd Money Mayweather. He fought him when he was just a young pup. But I want to talk about that because I believe that fight against Money Mayweather taught Canelo how to win. Now, mind you, he was already winning before he fought Mayweather, but I think at that time he was relying strictly on power. He's always been a great counterpuncher, but I believe after fighting Mayweather, he became more of a skilled fighter. And Canelo added skill to that power. As we know, Mayweather, the master of the Philly shell, the master of the shoulder roll. And if you don't know what the shoulder roll is, that's when your body's at an angle, you tuck, everything comes off the shoulder and the arm. Nothing hits the body, nothing hits the face. You have to have hell of a body to take those shots because your arms and your chest is going to be receiving those blows. But if you can sustain, that is a powerful defense in the world of boxing. And you know, unfortunately, Mayweather, with all of his wisdom, with all of his savvy, was able to school Canelo that night. But Canelo since then has been a monster. You know, he had the draw against Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. We all know about that hard-hitting individual. And then in the second fight, he was able to get the victory. Now, even though a lot of people like myself, I think Gennady won that fight. I just think he bought the fight to Canelo, you know, more of the aggressor within the fight. But Canelo was able to land some precise hits and able to win over the judges. So more power to him. And since then, Canelo has been on a complete tear, knocking out opponents. Not too many fights are going to decision. And we saw the same thing against Caleb Plant this past Saturday night. Now, Caleb Plant, what a lot of people don't know, which I didn't know, I was watching Joe Rogan. Shout out to Joe Rogan. And Caleb Plant is a product of Floyd Money Mayweather. Now, not saying Mayweather has trained him or anything like that, but Caleb Plant was one of the sparring partners in the Mayweather gym. So he got to watch a lot of Floyd Mayweather up close. And if you will see Caleb Plant, he also is a person who likes to use that Philly shell, likes to use that shoulder roll when he fights. And he was giving Canelo a little bit of a problem in the earlier rounds. Canelo not being able to use that counter as he wants to do, that counter left as he likes to throw. And Caleb was having his way a little bit, you know, being able to use his quickness, to use that Philly shell to roll Canelo punches off of it. And Canelo finally said enough is enough. Canelo began using that jab, going to the body, and he literally knocked him out of that Philly shell, going to that body. We get to the 11th round. Canelo set him up beautifully. You know, after a nice body shot, he catches him with a nice stiff left hook straight to the jaw, and then he rocked him with an uppercut that put him down. That was the first time in Caleb Plant's career that he went down. And then we see on the second fight, on the second knockdown, Canelo chases him. He knows Caleb is hurt. He's not going to give him a chance to make it to the bell. He gets really aggressive, proceeds to chase him down in the ring, gives him consecutive right lefts, right to the face, right to the body. Caleb goes down for good. Canelo is your winner. Shout out to Canelo, man, who knocked the oh Lord Jesus out of him when he caught him with that uppercut. That uppercut was flush. I mean, you saw the sweat jump off this man's head. You know, I like to say that Caleb Plant got planted. He knocked the roots out that boy. And Canelo right now is you know, waiting to see his next opponent. Now, a lot of people are screaming, fight Jermell Charlo. We know the Charlo twins, man. These guys have been running the middleweight division right now. Jermell Charlo, currently the middleweight champion. I believe he's at the 154-pound title. So it's going to be a matter of, is he going to move up or will Canelo move down? But a lot of people want to see if Canelo's going to move back up to 175 to fight in that light heavyweight division. A lot of people saying, will Andre Ward be willing to come out of retirement to give the young guy a chance? But all I can tell you about Canelo right now, he doesn't look like he's going to be slowing down. He's going to be holding on to that undisputed title for a long time. And right now, he is boxing's best pound-for-pound fighter. And then we got to talk about Aaron Rodgers, ladies and gentlemen, because Aaron Rodgers violated NFL COVID protocols by lying, saying that he was vaccinated, saying that, he didn't come out and say he was vaccinated. He said he was immunized. And by saying he was immunized, people assume that you're saying you are vaccinated. Again, I have to apologize for the barking dogs, ladies and gentlemen. That is not of my doing, but the show must go on because they're going to bark any time of the day. But yeah, so now we see that Aaron Rodgers has got caught up because he caught COVID. And of course, his vaccination status came out to the light and people realized he has not taken the Pfizer. He has not taken the Moderna. He has not taken the Johnson & Johnson. He was taking some medications that he said he consulted with other medical professionals about. And they said that this was just as good. I don't know. But now Aaron Rodgers has been fined by the NFL. I believe him and his receiver, Alan Lazard, they were fined a little under $15,000 each for violating the vaccine policies. And remember, the NFL doesn't have a vaccine mandate. They just have protocols for unvaccinated people. So if you're unvaccinated, when you're on the sideline and you're not on the field, you have to wear a mask. If you come out on the field to shake opposing opponents' hands, you have to have a mask. If you're out in public, you have to wear a mask. They want you to limit how many places you go in public because you're not vaccinated. They don't want you to bring an outbreak to the NFL, especially when they're mid-season and they're not trying to lose out on any business. Aaron Rodgers has not done that. Aaron Rodgers has freely walked around the sideline with no mask. Aaron Rodgers has freely been on the field with no mask, shaking other people's hands with no mask. He took Halloween pictures with him dressed as John Wick with no mask. And he's stating now that he feels like he's being crucified. He feels like he's being used as the guinea pig, used as the scapegoat, I should say. Even quoting the great, legendary Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, which was just a smack in the face to everybody who's really struggled with things, because when Martin Luther King, the quote that he used, when he said that quote, this man was literally sitting in jail, writing a note about the difference between just and unjust laws. So it just amazes me that Aaron Rodgers went that far. I don't have a problem with Aaron Rodgers personally. I personally don't care if you're vaccinated or not. I personally don't care that he lied about it. Everybody's sorry when they get caught. So Aaron Rodgers facing what he has to face. I didn't think the NFL was going to suspend him. I also didn't think that fine would be so low at $15,000. But I really believe in my heart of heart that the NFL knew about it. You had to know about it. If the Packers knew about it, you knew about it. Speaking of Packers, as an organization, they were fined over $300,000 for letting him violate the protocols. So the NFL passed it down fine, saying, hey, you can be unvaccinated all you want, but somebody's going to pay for it. And then we look at in the NBA, Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic has been suspended for one game after the altercation he had with Markieff Morris. Jimmy Butler was fined for it as well, for making threats towards Jokic, wanting to fight in the back. Pretty much what happened was in the game with Denver versus Miami, a game in which Denver won, by the way. Markieff Morris gave a hard foul to Jokic at center court, kind of shoved him as Jokic was going to pass the ball. And Jokic didn't take kind to that. Jokic said, okay, you going to push me like that. As Markieff Morris was walking away, Jokic came and he shoulder tackled him in his back. Morris he's going to be missing a game or two, saying he suffered a little bit of whiplash when Jokic did that. But, Markieff Morris took it like a champ. He understand, one dirty play is going to lead to another dirty play. And Jokic saying, hey, I'm the MVP. Y'all not going to keep running up on me like this. Somebody going to feel it. And it was funny. The Morris brothers went through a little back and forth beef with the Jokic brothers on Twitter. Just talking a little mess. This is what makes the NBA fun, man. It's a physical game. Things are going to get physical in this game. Speaking of physical, we're also going to see upcoming in the Fury versus Paul matchup, in which we're going to see Tyson's Fury younger brother take on Jake Paul in a boxing matchup. And on the undercard, we're going to have former NFL All-Pro running back Frank Gore versus former NBA All-Star Darren Williams in a sparring match. Now, Frank Gore, as we know, he's the third leading rusher all time on the NFL's all-time rushing list. This is not a man to be trifled with. He is a beast. And then we look at Darren Williams, who has a background in professional wrestling. And I'm not talking about the WWE style of wrestling. I'm talking about the Greco-Greek style of wrestling, or Roman Greco style of wrestling. I think that's what it's called. So, he wrestled in high school. He also has an MMA gym, in which he's also done MMA training out of as well. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. I believe they're going to be fighting the mid-December. I'll talk about more of that as the date gets closer. That's going to be interesting to see. Right now, I haven't seen any of the fighters fight, but just based off resumes, my money is on Frank Gore. And last but not least, in the world of basketball, there has been a grudge that has been held for such a long time, and is still significant to this day. Scottie Pippen and his grudge with Michael Jordan. Just to speak on this for a moment, I don't understand what Scottie's grudge is on Michael Jordan. Now, granted, he's a little ticked off about The Last Dance, in which he felt Michael Jordan pretty much made that documentary about him and about his domination in the 90s. And, he showed love to his teammates, but the documentary was to show Michael, which he was the star of the Chicago Bulls team. And Scottie Pippen, as underrated as he is, we know he's a top 50 player of all time. Excuse me. We know that there wouldn't be at least Chicago Bull Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippen. I mean, Michael Jordan didn't win until Scottie was able to hold his weight and hold his own and provide the help that Jordan needed to get past the bad boy Pistons. So we understand all that. Scottie is still mad, though, because he thinks that The Last Dance was such a condescending thing, not only to him, but to former teammates of the Bulls. He's mad because Michael Jordan was paid money for the documentary. I believe he made $10 million off this documentary. Scottie said he didn't make a dime from it. He doesn't like the fact that, Jordan, pumped himself up so much and belittled Scottie Pippen in this documentary, talking about his bad moments, talking about Scottie Pippen not wanting to be in the game because Phil Jackson wanted to give the last shot to Tony Kukoc, or talking about Scottie Pippen when he caught the migraine against the Detroit Pistons, or a bad back against the Utah Jazz. I mean, he talked about all of Scottie's low moments, and Scottie certainly didn't appreciate that. Scottie even went as far as to say, we've seen a lot of flu games. How many bad back games have you seen? Pretty much throwing Jordan's famous flu game under the rug. It's just getting bad. I don't think I would hope that they will be able to get past this. I don't think, with all of the hate that Scottie is spewing, Michael is going to be so quick to forgive. Remember, he still holds a grudge against Charles Barkley, and Scottie Pippen even going as far to say that The Last Dance was created to show current NBA fans just who Michael Jordan was as a player, because a lot of people are saying that LeBron is the GOAT now, and he wanted to remind people that he is indeed the true GOAT. So it's just a lot going on with that situation. We hope that they're able to get back to having some type of relationship. I mean, Michael and Scottie, the ultimate 1-2 combo in the NBA. I mean, if you ever say, man, you got two guys you want to have on your team, I'm pretty sure if it's not Shaq and Kobe, it's Michael and Scottie. And it's just a shame that the business of the NBA makes you come to that type of, to deteriorate relationships on that level. So hopefully they're able to get past that and, be able to, celebrate their wins in the future, because there was no one without the other. And that's my show, ladies and gentlemen, man. I appreciate you guys for sticking around with your boy, celebrating your boy 1 year anniversary. Again, I want to apologize about the dog barking. I'm sorry, I can't control it. I'm glad the little mutt stopped barking now. But it just, I'm like, you want to bark at the most opportune time. Hey, but the show must go on. I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. Make sure you catch me on all social media platforms. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on the Rewind Sports 60 Roku channel, man. I'm everywhere, y'all. Again, man, I can't wait to see y'all next year. I want to keep this thing going. I'm so happy that for the support that I do have. I appreciate y'all for keeping Robs2Cents on your mind. Remember, I always tell you guys, be great, set realistic goals, set a plan to execute those goals, and then go out and execute, y'all. Y'all know this has been your boy that's hot, the boy Rob Scott, celebrating the year, baby, and celebrating another year of life. Love you guys, man. Hope you guys continue to be great, and you already know the slogan, baby. We gone. There's a bigger fight going on. There's a much bigger agenda than the streets. And I know sometimes it's hard to see that far in front of us, but we have to look past the illusions, look past the delusions of grandeur, and look at the bigger picture. We need to become better versions of ourselves each and every day. Fight for what you believe in. Because if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. We just getting started, baby. You guys know the slogan now. Hope you all have a great evening. And we go.